Good morning, it's Pastor Marty from the Afternoon Drive. I'm a little upset with myself. I should have seen this coming. In fact, I think we all should have seen this coming, but I am convinced of it now. Hillary's running. Don't doubt me on this. Hillary is running. Stop and think about it. This failed tour, come on. They're giving the tickets away, and they can't draw 100 people at these venues. She's been on PMSNBC, CNN, Good Morning America, all the friendly talk shows that will have her on to talk about her tour and to allow her to continue to further this delusionally asinine assertion that in one precinct in the state of Florida, Russians actually hacked in and changed votes from Hillary to Trump. Give me a break. Hillary, who's in this up to her eyeballs, who hired Mr. Steele, paid him $10 million to do op-ed research on Donald Trump through Russia. The Russian dossier, talk about collusion. Her collusion with Russia over the money that was poured into the Clinton Foundation, and then Russia ends up with 20% of our uranium. Talk about collusion. She has a private email server. She deletes 33,000 subpoenaed emails. Hey, Jerry the Nads Nadler, you're threatening to arrest Attorney General William Barr over not coming and appearing before Congress and ignoring your subpoena. Why don't you arrest Hillary Rodham Clinton? 33,000 emails, those were personal. Really? We're going to take your word for it? Give me a break. And now we find out the Justice Department wouldn't allow the FBI to have access to her emails. No obstruction there. Hillary is running. She's been referring to Attorney General William Barr as Trump's defense lawyer. She did a dramatic reading the other night, supposedly, of the Mueller report, where there's those quotes in there that are supposedly attributed to President Trump. And at one point, I guess he said, "I'm effed." And she did a dramatic reading of that for the humor. She's running. And I'll tell you why she's running. Because the elites in Washington are running scared on the left and right side of the aisle. And let's get real. Number one, she has got to stop the exposure of the deep state. It was really accelerated under Barack Obama, but it did not start with him. It started under George Bush. Obviously, it even started years before that. We understand that the government has always been about keeping control over us and tabs on where we are and what we're up to. But it got legalized under George W. Bush with the Patriot Act. And then Barack Obama just really threw gas on the fire, and he personally weaponized the intelligence agencies. Not to go after Al-Qaeda or ISIS or terrorists, to go after patriotic groups that might be considered homegrown terrorists because of their love of the flag and traditional faith and values. And she has got to stop the exposure of the deep state. And let's get real. This collective group of clowns in the DNC clown car, these numbskulls, there's none of them capable of stopping it. Even Joe Bonehead Biden is not capable of stopping the exposure. He's a walking gaffe machine. He's the groper, the sniffer. He is what he is. He was a great ventriloquist dummy, and Barack was the great ventriloquist. On his own, Biden is a disaster. Hillary has not the gravitas or the winning personality to stop the exposure. What Hillary is missing right now is authority and political clout. If she gains the presidency, she gets her authority and her clout back because she's already got the team in place, the people, and the lack of scruples and morals to really blackmail and put the screws to people to make sure that the exposure of the deep state stops. That's number one. Number two, you can't indict a sitting president. This is what we're hearing all these so-called retired federal judges and former attorney generals all saying now that, well, you can't indict a sitting president. And that's the only reason Trump's gotten away with anything. And this is what's being spoon-fed through the lying legacy corporate corrupt propaganda media as why 42% of Democrats are convinced, according to the most recent polling data, that Donald Trump committed treason. Now, that's still not good news for the Democrats. And I'll tell you why. For this to have any traction to impeach Donald Trump, for Nancy and Jerry the Nads Nadler and Mad Maxine Waters and the rest of them to try to start pushing impeachment, they would need well over 50% of Democrats to believe that Donald Trump committed treason. They would need 70% of Democrats, 75% of Democrats to believe he committed treason. And then that would carry over to maybe, 35, 40% of Republicans believing he committed treason. Right now, 85% of Republicans are convinced Donald Trump committed no treason. You know why? Because he didn't. But Hillary's looking at this, wow, a sitting president can't be indicted. Then I can't be indicted for emails and collusion and money laundering through the Clinton Foundation and on and on and on and on and on. Because she's always in perpetual campaign mode. Once she's, quote, elected, then anything that she did while in campaign mode, you can't indict me. She is scared to death. Donald Trump and Attorney General William Barr are going to do what Jeff Sessions was compromised from doing, and that's going after Hillary. I said right from jump, the fact that Jeff Sessions would not go after Hillary, and then when he recused himself from the entire Russia investigation, I said they got him. I don't know what they got him on. They got him, they've got video footage of him engaging in threesomes with monkeys and giraffes and, nasty X-rated zoo videos. I don't know what they got him on, but they got him with something. They got him. Now we have an attorney general that they ain't got. And this is why they are disparaging him. This is why they are thrashing and trashing his character day in and day out. And you know what Attorney General William Barr is actually guilty of? Following the law. Well, Shazam, Batman, isn't that an originality? He's following the law. He's about to invoke executive privilege over the subpoena of the Mueller letter that was sent to him. Because he said, I'm not turning that over. And all of this yelling and screaming and shrill that comes from people like Adam Schifferbrains and Chuck E. Cheese Schumer over Trump needs to cooperate and Trump needs to do this and Trump needs... He turned over 1.4 million documents, and he never one time during the entire hoax of a witch hunt investigation led by Robert Mueller, never once did Trump invoke executive privilege. It's time he did. Even Mitch McConnell said it is time for this to be over. And again, to repeat what Jonathan Falwell said, President Trump is owed 2 years of his presidency back. Because this has been nothing but utter hogwash. Make no mistake, William Barr is not owned by them. They haven't got anything on him. He managed to fly under the radar. It amazes me when you bring stuff up like this and right away certain Democrats, oh, you're a conspiracy lunatic. Really? We all thought that the movie Enemy of the State was just really great fiction. The one with Will Smith and Gene Hackman. Then when Edward Snowden came forward and let us know what was going on, Wow, enemy of the state turned out to be true, that the FCC is spying on us continually. And that was because of the legalization of the Patriot Act. Let me tell you another movie you need to watch. The Firm. It starred Tom Cruise. Young hotshot attorney joins the firm. And at a junket for the firm, he ends up engaging in an extramarital affair that they videotaped. And the reason they videotaped it was the firm was doing, shall we say, less than legal work for less than reputable clients. And to make sure that none of the young attorneys got an attack of conscience and thought about leaking or going forward with what they knew was going on in that firm, they made sure they had something on them so that they would behave. Oh, you don't want to go forward. You don't want to rat us out, or we'll let your wife see the video of you having an affair. You understand Washington, D.C.? Does it really stretch your brain to think that they work the same way? That sometimes what we're watching in movies is not actually fiction? The names have been changed to protect the innocent. They haven't got anything on Barr. He flew under the radar. Robert Mueller didn't see him coming. Jimmy Comey didn't see him coming. Barr was in what we would call the establishment, the swamp, but he didn't become a swamp thing. And he's going after him. He's mad. You got Christopher Wray out there, director of the FBI, disagreeing with Barr. Oh, we didn't spy. On the Trump campaign, we engaged in surveillance. That's like saying, I can't see, but I have vision. We weren't looking, we were just ogling. I wasn't staring, I was just noticing. We weren't spying, we were surveilling. Really? And what about the little Russian honey that you hooked up with Papadopoulos, and she actually worked for the FBI, and they were trying to get her planted in the Trump campaign as what? A surveiller? An observer? A spy. The deep state is being exposed, and trust me when I say this, Hillary's running. Now, it may only be as Biden's VP. Hillary's running. I think she's running for the main gig, and it'll come out later this summer. And trust me when I say this, the deep state, they are all in. This is why they are acting like rabid dogs and attacking William Barr and Donald Trump. And if they believe for a moment that Biden cannot help stop this exposure, they will prop up Hillary. They will fund her campaign. And by the way, Bernie and the rest of you so-called Democratic Socialists, just pack it in. Because no matter what the votes come out, Hillary's going to be the nominee if this is what the elite and the deep state decide. Lenin once said, people who vote decide nothing. The people who count the votes decide everything. And mark it down, in the main general election, the Democrats are going to cheat like never before in history. It'll make dead people voting for JFK seem like a Sunday school picnic. This is what we're up against. And Hillary is running. That's it. Would you like the video, please? And share it with a friend or two. Tell them about this channel. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for my next rant.